All right, now let's get to number 2. And the second way women make themselves look very desperate is with excessive calling and texting. All right. Now, this is, I'm going to use the word tricky point to make, because we have to be careful with how we view excessive. Excessive sometimes, or not sometimes, excessive can be very dependent on the person you're dealing with. Okay. Meaning, listen, if this guy, some guys want to talk all the time. They want to hear from you daily, right? So hitting him up or calling him daily is not excessive to him. He loves it. He enjoys it. He appreciates it. To the next guy who doesn't have either the same level of interest or doesn't have the same desire of that much communication, it can come across as excessive. Now, I will say this. The key for you to understand is, if he really likes you, it's hard for him to view anything you do as excessive. And when I say hard, I'm just saying that even if you call a lot, if he really likes you, he's going to view that in a positive light. Like, the way we view people's behaviors is very dependent on how much interest we have in them. So if we don't really like someone, them blowing our phone up is annoying as hell, okay? We're going to view them in a very negative light. It's like, what's wrong with them? And we will slap that desperate label on them. If we like them, not so much. It won't happen like that. Okay. And that's why you have this situation where you have women saying, I don't want to be clingy. But I always make the argument, you won't be clingy to the man who wants to cling to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man who's really into you like that is not going to view it as clingy. Even if he wants to slow it down a little bit, he won't put a negative label on it. Okay? Because he still loves and appreciates how much you're showing interest in him, how much you express desire in him, how much you want to be around him. Okay? So the reason why we still have to mention this as it's one of those things that can make you look desperate is because I think for some women, I'll give you an example. I remember, so this is a great example of excessive texting. This was a long time ago. This is actually before I became Stefan Speaks, right? I'm going to use one of my personal examples. But all I can tell you is, like, when I think I flew in from somewhere, went out that night, met a woman. We had a great night. It was at a club or something like that. Next day we're talking, whatever. Now, I got busy during the day. So I think she texts me, and then I'm still busy. I wasn't even, like, looking at the text. When I got back to my phone, and you know what? I'm saying text. I wonder if it was even text or just phone calls. Either way, it was like 14 of them, all right, in a row. That's excessive. Not only is that excessive, it looks crazy as hell, all right? How you calling or texting me 14 times in a row in the span of a few hours? Clearly, I am not available. It had me worried. I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie, I think it's Thin Line Between Love and Hate, with Martin Lawrence, and I forgot the woman actor's name. But I was like, oh my gosh, I think I got myself into some crazy situation. Like, it had me legitimately scared for a second. So that's a clear example of you're doing too damn much. All right. And you got to check yourself. And I think it's very easy for some women to sometimes get lost in their emotions in the moment and lose sight of how they're behaving and how they're approaching things. Okay. But I think also when it comes to excessive calling and texting, it's also about, is he reciprocating your energy? So I don't want you to have this idea of, well, I don't want to call him today, or, I already call him too much. However, it's only too much if he's never calling you and you're always calling him. So if y'all call each other, but you call him a little bit more, or you initiate phone calls a little bit more, that's different. I would also say one of the great ways you're going to know if you're doing too much or not is if when you're calling, he's never available, or he makes the conversations quick, like he doesn't want to be on the phone with you, then that shows you're doing too much by constantly trying to push the issue of calling and texting. However, if you may call more than him, but he gladly jumps on the call with you, has conversation, engages in communication, then that to me says he enjoys speaking to you. You may just be more the initiator of those conversations. There's nothing wrong with that, because in relationships, we have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. So he may initiate more in certain regards. You're going to initiate more in other regards. There's nothing wrong with that. It's only a problem when you're noticing that person does not welcome your initiation. All right. And is resisting it. Now it's like, okay, you have to ask yourself, why am I really doing this? Because some of you are over calling, over texting because you're looking for that reassurance that he's available, that he's not seeing someone else, that he has any interest, rather than, no, I just want to talk to him. I enjoy speaking to him. And we have great conversations, which means he enjoys it too. So you got to be mindful of it, but I don't want this point to scare you into thinking you shouldn't make that phone call, you shouldn't send that text, because at the end of the day, before we move on to the next point, I do want you to be yourself, okay? And being yourself may have you looking desperate to one guy, but will have you looking amazing to the next guy. So be true to you. If you're someone who loves to call and text, be that woman, because you want to make sure you are getting involved with a man who embraces that. And the best way to see if he embraces that is by being yourself, taking that, doing, those things that's calling and texting, and seeing how he handles it and responds to it. And that will give you a clearer picture of what kind of man you're dealing with. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So I know one of the concerns that women have in the dating world today is the idea of having to initiate, or for some pursue, or what they may